What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Fallen Sanctum, and today we'll be starting a new series. It's called, actually, I don't have a name for it yet, but we're going to be going over each color. In every episode, we're going to be going over a set and each, like, a legal card for that format. So we're going to start with OP1 with the starters and promos. The promos, I think, it's just the demo pack, the TP, and the box topper, but box topper are already in the set. So yeah, it's pretty much just a tournament pack, and the current set. We're gonna go over the one drops, two drops. Like for this episode, we're gonna do all the red cards. Only set one, and the promos that are legal in set one. And we'll do an OP2 episode when we do an OP2 episode. I'm using the simulator for now, but it looks like they're like the event pack promos and stuff are missing, and those are going to be legal during set one. So we'll be including them in the set two video when I find something else to use. But we'll do the set one videos here on the OP simulator. So welcome. This series is more for like a new players. We'll be going over and explaining each of these cards. I should move my. There you go. I'll move myself here just because the card reader or whatever is on the bottom left. Okay, so this is to help newer players understand like if they should look into running these cards, and I'll definitely have some of these cards as marked as like do not play. They are bad. They will probably lose you games and stuff. But we'll just go over their uses and what they could technically be used for. And so let's start off. Otama, by far one of the best one drops in the game. It's one cost, 0 power. It has 2k counters, really important because that's very rare on one drops. On play, it gives your opponent minus 2k. Why that's important is because red has a lot of power based removal, and Otama helps you reach those. Definitely a 4 of in every red deck. I don't think there's a red deck, at least for now or maybe in the foreseeable future, where Otama isn't played. This card is way too good. Nami is a one drop that has 2k power and 1k counter. On play, you look at top 5 from your deck, reveal up to one Straw Hat crew type card other than Nami. So that means Nami cannot add this other Nami because it is called Nami. And then you place the rest on your bottom. I believe this card is a 4 of, at least in Luffy and Zoro, and I think even in Red Green Luffy. It's definitely a 4 of in Law, and it might even see some play in Whitebeard. Just because you can search Jet Pistol, Guard Point, and a lot of other good cards. It's definitely a 4 of. Gordon, now we start to get to some of the gimmicky cards for the battle cards, because other than the Chopper, which sees a lot of play, these next few cards, some of them are pretty bad. This card's pretty dog water. So Gordon is a one cost 2k, and he has the effect that you may return this card to the bottom of the deck, give one of your opponents minus 3k during this turn. I don't really see a use for it. It can't attack, and its effect is not really amazing. Like it doesn't replace itself, and I overall don't recommend this card in any deck. Sunny Kun is actually going to be really good next set when we get the one drop support that you can see like here with like when we get the cards like this for set 2. But we'll go over that. We'll relook at Sunny in set 2 because it's going to be an important card, especially in Zoro. Helmeppo, pretty bad card. Don't play it. Karu, it's a vanilla 3k. I think every color has at least one of these, but they're all pretty dog shit. I don't recommend playing any of these. Tony Chopper, very good. You run between 2 to 4 in every deck that splashes red. It's just a really good card. It's your one drop blocker. Every color has these, and these are like a staple in starter decks. I think the only color that does not have a one drop blocker is purple. Reasoning, we don't know why. This Nami is she's 1k and has 1k counter. Activate main is she can give Arrested Dawn to one of my leaders or characters. She's pretty decent in Zoro, but outside of that, she doesn't see much play. She's seen some play in certain like mono red Luffy lists, where it just helps like in the end game if she's still on the board. But often there's just not much space in a tight deck list for a card like this. It's a great potential, but sadly only really sees its value in Zoro, as it helps you not waste an active Dawn on your card, so you technically play with an extra Dawn. Green Star Rafflesia, it's a one drop counter that gives up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 2k this turn, and its triggers activate this counter. Pretty bad card. I don't recommend playing it. And now Radical Beam is a pretty interesting card. It sees a degree of play from 2 to 4 copies in Zoro, Red Green Luffy, and Red Luffy. It's pretty bad early, but really, really good late. So as long as you have 2 or less life, you do gain the second 2k, because this card initially only gives 1 2k, but if you have 2 or less life, it gives 4k total. It's really good. In 2 years, it's at the Sabari Archipelago as a 1-drop. Look top 5 for a Straw Hat character card. Sees niche play in Zoro. I feel like that's about it. Even then, it sees from 2 to 4 copies of play. Maybe when there's more like versatile Straw Hats or like red plus another color splashes, this will be a multicolor search target, which will be nice. Triggers activate the effect to look top 5. The I Smell Adventure I had, sadly, a pretty bad card for now. We don't really have a reason to like re-mulligan it. I mean, in some hands, I guess it could be Jesus if your hand is like fucking dog shit and you get this and you mulligan into an amazing hand and it helps you win. But overall, I really don't recommend it because you can still pull out of wins even with not so great hands. Guard Point is a 1-card counter that gives your leader or characters 3k during the battle, and the trigger effect is that your leader or character gains 1k during the turn, just like Radical Beam, but I don't recommend using the trigger. I recommend holding it for that shield value, that counter value that it's going to give you. Overall, a great card. Sees niche play between 2 to 4 copies in Red Green Luffy, Red Luffy, and Zoro. More often seen in Red Luffy than Red Zoro, though. Adiala Jambe gives one of your Straw Hat leader or character cards unblockable for that turn. So that is like really, really nice. And the trigger is KO up to one of your opponent's blocker characters with a cost of 3 or less. This sees pretty decent play in Zoro and some play in Luffy. I'm actually looking to test it in Red Green. But overall, this card is pretty damn decent, as it allows you to, when you have like the full stack with like Luffy or Zoro, you just put it on a character and they have no life and they have a blocker out. You just do swing like 14, 15, and you go for game. That's it for the 1-drops. Now let's look at the 2-drops. We have this. I think it's sorted by set, and then there's this. So I believe these are the 2-drops. I don't believe I missed a 2-drop. No. Okay. So we'll start off with my boy Usopp. Can be okay in event heavy formats. When you know your opponent is going to be using a lot of events, but sadly, if Usopp gets removed off the field before, like if he gets jet pistol in trigger, he doesn't proc, and triggers that proc from life aren't counted as events. So this card, it's really just for the events in hand. Maybe 1 to 2 copies at most in a red deck if you need the 2k counter. Other than that, do not play. Carrot, pretty dog shit card. It's a 3k vanilla that has 1k counter, and trigger, it plays this card. Might see some play in like small, Goomba Stomp Zoro. But other than that, I wouldn't recommend the card. Gordon's a 2k counter that has on play. You may place 1 card from your hand at the bottom to draw a card. It's a nice mulligan card. It's one of the many 2ks red has access to. So you pretty much pick and choose which 2k counters you want to run, because most of the time you won't be summoning any of them. Sai and Vivi are both the same cards, because they even have the same like special attack or the slash like power or whatever. So they're 4k vanillas with 1k counter. They see some play in Zoro between like 1 to 2 copies of either or. It just depends, I guess. Do you like boobs or do you like dudes? Pick your choosing. Only really played in Red Zora. This Sanji is a really good card against bad players. When you get to use its effect, when they're like intentionally like starving you, or like maybe not intentionally, but they're like not like killing you. You can use this effect to add a card from your life area to your hand. He gains 2k, and then you can give this character up to 2 rested dons. It's once per turn, but in the Zoro deck, if you're getting starved, this guy with Zoro's effect is technically 8k, so that's kind of nutty. And it's a 2k counter, so you choose however many you want to run. It's a pretty good card. Bartolomeo is a blocker that can gain 3k during the opponent's turn if he has 2 dons. I don't think it sees much play. It's like if Luffy was a like disgustingly dominant red deck and Shanks was super oppressive, maybe. But outside of that, I don't think Bartolomeo sees much play. Hyogoro, you can rest this card to give your leader or one of your characters 2k during this turn. Don't play it. Bad card. This Monkey D. Luffy, for now, there's not a lot of strike attribute characters, and they do not count leaders, so they only count like the character cards. So this card sees fringe play between the red decks, sometimes maybe 1 to 2 copies at most, because it's a 1k counter, it's a searchable Straw Hat and a Supernova. Bartolomeo is a 2-cost blocker. That's a Supernova and Film, but I don't recommend it. They're just better options. Usopp, this is a pretty gimmicky card, but if he has 2 dons, when he's attacking, your opponent cannot activate a blocker character that has 5,000 or more power. So it's like Diablo Jambe, but only for like the big blockers, which is okay. Sanji is now we're getting to some of the good red cards that are 2-drops outside of the 2k counters. He doesn't have any counter. He has 4k power, but he has the effect that 2 don. This character gains rest. So in Zoro, he's an instant 7k, which is nice, and he gets a free swing. And we already covered Vivi. Brook, he's another 2k counter, so choose however many you want to play. I feel like Zoro players play more of this than others, just because it's nice. Because on play, it gives 2 rested Dawn cards to your leader or one of your characters. Give up to 2 rested Dawn cards. But so it costs 2, and then you give the 2 that you use with him, and you put it on a character, and it can be useful. It's 3k power. Pretty decent card, searchable. Gum Gum Red Hawk, a pretty damn decent card if your opponent doesn't play around it constantly. So what it does is it's 2-cost counter that your leader or one of your characters gains 4k during this battle. Then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 4k power or less. Now that can be really good because it can almost always snipe little blockers. And it can snipe battle cards that haven't been boosted yet in other colors, so it's really nice card. It sees like 2 to 4 copies of play in pretty much every red deck, outside of Law, because I don't think Law likes this. Trigger, and the trigger is it gives one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 10k during this turn, and because we go into the negatives in this game, it can actually turn off a lot of plays. So it's a pretty decent card. The Thousand Sunny is sadly a pretty dog shit card. It doesn't even have a trigger, so you have to hard cast it from hand. I do not recommend playing it. Now let's go into our free drops. As we get higher in cost, you'll see we get a lot like less cards to talk about. Caribou on cards that have on KO are, as of current format, pretty fucking dog shit. So on KO, you KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 4k or less power. He is a Supernova, so he is searchable in like the red-green decks, and he does have 1k counter, but I don't really like the card. Tony Chopper is a 3-cost with 1k counter with 4k power. He has the ability of a 1x Dawn. When attacking, you can trash a card from your hand, add up to 1 Straw Hat type character card other than Tony Chopper with cost of 4 or less, so you can help you recycle like the Zoros and stuff, but it just feels a little slow for what you want to do. Do not recommend running it. Nico Robin, the best 3-drop outside of Zoro and the Monkey D. Luffy on the right over there. Definitely a 4 of in every deck. It's just fucking good. She has 1k counter and 4k power, but the reason why you play her is she has the 1 Dawn, KO up to one of your opponents with 3k power or less. As we covered with Otama, we like minus power cards because minus power cards enable cards like Robin, and Robin is nutty. Frankie, don't play him. Marco, don't play him. Zoro, I believe this is a four, like a four of in every red deck. Maybe even some Whitebeard variants might be running it. It's really good. It's a 3-drop 5k. It doesn't have counter, but it has rush, so it can swing the turn it's played. So this is a really nice card. This Monkey D. Luffy is 3k power, 3 cost, but has 2k counter and has the ability that for 2 Dawn on your turn, he gains 2k. So he's 7k when he can swing. Really good. I recommend 4 of this, but sadly, it's a $20+ card, so not everyone can afford this card. And Zoro's like almost like $40-ish right now, so that's a little crazy. The Jellyfish Pirates, pretty bad card. It's a 3 cost 5k vanilla with counter. This Kobe blocker is 3 cost 3k. It has blocker and it can play itself from life when you take it as a trigger. Beppo is another Nico Robin, but slightly weaker. But what's nice about Beppo is he has less power, but he has more counter. So a lot of lists in like Luffy run this as well as Nico Robin, because it's technically like running more Nico Robins, and being able to just guaranteely kill the blockers is really nice. And we got Jinbei. Sadly, a pretty bad card. It can give with 1 Dawn. When attacking, it can give 1k to a leader or a character other than this card during the turn. Robin's pretty much a Marco or a Jellyfish Pirates. She's a Straw Hat. And Zoro has the unique ability that for 1 Dawn, he gains 1k. And this is as long as he has the Dawn, he gains that power. So keep in mind during your opponent's turn, if the Zoro has a Dawn, it keeps the power increase. And then we're starting to run low on targets to talk about, but let's go over it. I swear there are less and less cards as we go up, especially for red. Uta is a 4 cost 4k that on play return up to 1 red character card other than Uta with a cost of 3 or less from your trash to your hand. Really nice recycling card. Sees some niche play between, I guess, 1 to 2 copies in red decks. So I like it. Cavendish is a 4 cost 5k that on play you may add a life from your add a card from your life area to your hand. From your life to your hand. This card gains rush. So it's essentially a Sanji that doesn't gain any power. It's the 2 cost Sanji, but it doesn't gain any power. But it's nice that he gets rush. Sadly, we're not in a scenario where we can use this frivolously. Might see some play sometimes, but I don't think for now this card seems playable. It is a supernova though, so it is searchable in red-green decks. This 4 cost Jinbei blocker sadly is not that amazing. He's 5k power, and if he has a Dawn on block, you play a character that has a cost of 2 or less, a red character that has a cost of 2 or less from your hand. So, I mean, it can help you maybe deploy another blocker, but sadly it doesn't see any play. Same with Harjurin, Brook, and this Luffy all see no play. This Brook gives with 1 Dawn on attack when attacking, he gives minus 2k to 2 characters, but it's pretty slow, and therefore because red doesn't, I feel, have the most time to just sit around and wait, they don't play it. This Luffy with 1 Dawn can be KO'd when battling strike, attribute, leader, or characters. So I mean this Luffy gets over the Kaido, and like the big Kaidos attacking into it, they have to remove it using removal. But outside of that, I don't think it's going to see much play. This Law is a card that pairs really well with Nico Robin and Otama and Jet Pistol. But this Law has the effect that on play, minus 2k to 1 of your opponent's characters for the turn. It's really good. I think it's a 4 of in all Luffy lists and a 2 to 3 of in the Zoro list. It's definitely played in, I believe, red-green Luffy too. Vanilla Luffy sadly doesn't see much play. The same with Frankie. It's just Vanilla Luffy, in addition to Frankie, has a supernova and film as his character trait. They both have 1k counter. Round Table is a niche card that sometimes sees play. It really helps in the purple matchup and sometimes the green matchup. But the green matchup, you're already favored if you're playing properly, so you shouldn't be having a problem. But it gives minus 10k to a character. So, but it doesn't have a trigger effect, so you do have to hardcast it. Jet Pistol, the best removal card in the game. It KOs a character that's 6k or less, and the trigger is the same thing. It's a Supernova and a Straw Hat, so switchable by both Bonnie, Jewelry Bonnie, and Nami. Really, really good. And with all the minus power stuff we have access to, it allows you to hit some pretty big cards quite easily. Alright, let's go to the 5 drops. Sadly, with the 5 drop, we only have starter deck Luffy. This guy has Rush, 6k power, and when he has 2 Dons on him when attacking 2 or more Dons, so when you see X Don or whatever, it's the minimum amount to use that effect. He has Unblockable, really good to end the game. And by far one of the best red cards. He's 3 to 4 copies in most decks, even in red green law. This Luffy is sadly not as good. He's a 6 cost 7k, and for 2 Dons he gains Rush. So technically in a Zoro deck, he's an 8 cost because you want to give him the 2 Dons or whatever, right? He's an 8 cost 10k technically in Zoro, and that's like not that bad. And he's also searchable, Straw Hat Supernova, so it's not bad. But I sadly does not see any play. This is one of the demo deck promos. Yasop, I feel like is a bad card. It's an 8k, so I mean it can get Otama Jet Pistol, unlike a card that is coming up. I feel like it's just a bad vanilla. Let's go to 7s. We are nearly done. We got Ben Beckman. Now this guy only sees play in red Luffy, but I mean it's a pretty damn good card in red Luffy because it's immune to Utama Jet Pistol because it has 9k power, so you have to use 2 instances of minus power on him to Jet Pistol it. Other than that, it is sadly not searchable, but it also has counter, so that's pretty good. Let's see, does red have any 8 drops? Vanilla Shanks, sadly I don't think it does anything. It's Mihawk proof, but outside of that, yep. And then last but not least, we have Shanks in the red department. Now this guy is our last rush card, so technically I think our 5th or 6th rush card in the archetype. It has 10k power, 9 costs as rush, and when attacking, your opponent cannot activate a blocker that has 2k or less power. So example, there's like a 4k blocker on the field. You can Otama minus the power of that blocker to 2k, play the Shanks, and swing. Play it in Luffy. Really good card. And I hope this helps you guys understand a little bit more about the set 1 and promo red cards. And we'll be doing these for every color in every set. So like set 1 will have the first 4 colors, and then when they introduce black, I think in set 2 we'll add a chapter, and I think when they introduce yellow in set 3 we'll add an extra chapter to that. So there'll be a total of 6 chapters per of this type of episode series in each. Yeah, every set will make a finite amount of these, but hopefully it helps newer players just understand the quality and like what cards to look like they want to run. And I hope this helps. If you like the videos, please do drop a subscribe. We are nearing 200 subscribers, and that would be pretty poggers. And like the video if you enjoyed the content. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.